Hi, this is Johnny Yong Bosch, and you're listening to Beyond the Fandom.
All right, welcome everybody to the very first episode of Beyond the Fandom. In this episode, I got to talk with Johnny Yong Bosch, a Power Ranger, musician, and the voice of many loved characters in anime and gaming. In this interview, we talk about his early life, his influences, his time as a Power Ranger, his former band iShine, as well as his new music project that he's working on, what it's like for him in the studio, and a very particular game that has a lot of rumors about it right now. I hope you enjoy the interview. If you do, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more content, and drop some comments below so we can start a dialogue. Please enjoy. Question is, you were, well, not so much of a question, but topic is you were born in Kansas City and you moved to Garland. Your dad was in the military, he was in the Army, right?
Yeah, he was.
Was he active or reservist?
Well, he was in the military when I was... He was in the military actually before I was actually born.
Okay.
And us moving was to Texas was not for military at all.
Oh, okay. And he met your mom. Your mom is Korean, is that right?
Yes, he met while he was stationed in Korea.
Oh, okay, cool. So you guys moved to Garland, and then you spent pretty much the remainder of your youth years and your teenage years there.
Yep.
Are you a Cowboys fan? Just wondering.
I was, yeah, for sure.
Oh, you were?
Well, I mean, you know, I guess I am at heart, but then once I moved out to LA, my perspective on a lot of things and what I spent my time on changed a lot. So
sports kind of took a backseat.
Exactly, yeah.
And then I've seen in some previous interviews you had talked about your goblin voice, and then you referenced having a guinea pig and talking to that as a kid, and that's where you got your inspiration for the voice. So I'm just curious, what was the guinea pig's name?
You know, it's funny. I don't actually remember my guinea pig's name.
Oh, man. I had one too as a kid, so it's like, hey, that's something. I know that. I think mine's name was Ripley. I love my guinea pig.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's so weird. I was trying to think about it, and I was like, dang, I can't remember the name of my guinea pig.
That's awesome. Well, how long did you have him for?
You know, I had him in my senior year, towards the end of my senior year, and then, you know, once, you know, summer came around after that, and I went off to Power Rangers. It became my brothers. So. Oh,
okay. So it's just a short time.
It was a very short time, yeah.
You've also talked about, you know, in your younger years being a big fan of Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. Did you have a favorite, maybe Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan movie?
Man, yeah, there's a lot. Let's see. My favorite Bruce Lee movie would be Return of the Dragon or Way of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And Jackie Chan. Man, I see. Probably there are so many of them. Yeah, I think one of them that I was like, man, this is really awesome. Like straight through, would be Drunken Master 2.
Oh yeah, definitely. As far as Bruce Lee goes, he was, you know, big on philosophy and is huge, and he applied philosophy to his life and his martial arts. He had a lot of great quotes and ideas behind it. Do you have any particularly like philosophical views of his that you know resonate with you, that you keep with you?
Well, you know, at times, you know, occasionally. I mean, I read like his book. I've read actually all of his books, and there are certainly things in there that I'm like, yeah, these are really good, interesting things, you know. But I mean, for me, I always, and it just might be because everybody says it, but be like water.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
You know, it's just like, you know, it's just one that it's always probably will never leave me.
Right, and I love that interview. Just he's sitting there talking and
exactly.
explains it. It's such a great moment, and it shows everything that he was from not only martial arts, but you can apply it to life too. You know, be like water, be fluid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You also talked about how growing up that you got into martial arts because of you were being bullied, and you learned from watching Bruce Lee and Jackie's movies and Sammo Hung and a lot of the other greats. And you learned from that, which you started using to bully the bullies. And then you realized what you were doing, so you went into an actual discipline of Kung Fu. I'm just wondering, growing up as, you know, as an outsider, being mixed, you know, my son's mixed, he's Thai and American, you know, Caucasian. So do you have any messages to these kids that are struggling in schools nowadays that are also being bullied?
You know, it's tough because even my daughter is dealing with some of that, you know?
Right.
And it's just an unfortunate fact that kids can sometimes be jerks and bullies.
Yeah.
And, you know, that I don't know exactly where that comes from. Sometimes it's from their parents, but some kids are just like that. So, the best advice I could maybe give would be do your best to let those things roll off your shoulder. With my daughter, I always try to have her, or I tell her to respond in a joke. If whatever it is, it's like, oh, thank you. If they make fun of the way you look or you dress, say thank you. I chose this myself, and then make fun. And then they have, what are they going to do then? They're going to be like, exactly. Oh, it's not any fun. You're not hurt whenever I try to hurt you.
Right.
So,
you're pulling the venom out of the bite, basically.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you actually went into a discipline, you looked around, which I kind of imagine this is going to be hard to think, like Kung Fu in Garland, Texas. How did you come across Kung Fu? Why and how?
Well, I went to a ton of schools. I remember going to so many different schools. Most of them were Taekwondo.
Right.
And I wanted to do Kung Fu, but I couldn't find anything. So I just searched around and I kept going. And I kept seeing a lot of these schools. Some were really nice schools. And then I would see in the class, there might be one star student and then the rest were not very great or didn't come across that great.
Right.
And then I stumbled upon this Kung Fu school and I was kind of excited. And I went in and I watched, and not one person stood out as like the best student, but all of them were really amazing. Huh. And the school wasn't fancy. It had holes in the walls. The lights didn't work. And I was like, this is a real school.
Yeah, this is where it really happens.
And so that's, it just kind of stuck out to me. Like, this is what I want to be able to do,
Yeah, that's awesome. What was the name of that school?
I think that it was Kung Fu USA is the actual name. It was Kung Fu USA. I don't think it's around anymore, but they did northern and southern style Shaolin, and then eventually it just became northern.
Okay. So is that your form then? Out of Kung Fu, is it Shaolin?
That is the first style I studied. Yes.
Oh, okay. And you've studied other ones as well within Kung Fu?
Not within Kung Fu. Shaolin would be the only Kung Fu I studied. And then, I've gone on and studied a few other things from there.
You're still obviously training it, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I currently train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu,
okay.
Kali, Eskrima, and Hapkido.
Good. Mixing it up. Yeah, get some weapons in there and everything else. So have you ever thought about teaching or gotten into maybe mentoring somebody as far as martial arts go?
I've done that before, just with some friends and helped out, other buddies of mine at their schools. And it's cool, but it's not really my thing. You got to have a lot of patience.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, it's, for me, it's, you also have to, you kind of have to have the business mentality as well. Like, you have to wear both hats, and it's not something I really am interested in.
So outside of the Power Rangers, obviously a lot of the, everybody that's on the show is technical in some form, whether it's dance, gymnastics, or martial arts. And then, beyond Bruce Lee and Jackie and some of the other greats, are there any other martial artists out there that you like to watch? Any actors or any other performers that you like to keep an eye on?
Well, gosh, like Scott Adkins is really cool.
Yeah, perfect. That's the one that's my guy right there.
And I met him in Australia, and he's just totally cool guy. But most of those guys that I've met, martial arts wise, even Mark DeCasco just seems so down to earth and cool.
Yeah.
And they're just talented,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's quite a few,
Yeah, Scott's awesome.
Jackie Chan.
Yeah. He's still out there doing it.
Like all those guys.
Yeah. Donnie Yen.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess we'll move out of the early life, moving to Power Rangers. Obviously, everybody should know who you are and that you were Adam the Black Power Rangers for a long time. Moving on from Power Rangers through the different series. How long were you on Power Rangers for?
Maybe 3 years or something like that. It might be 3.5 years, kind of.
And then you had the movies.
I came back a couple times. Yeah, once for Space and once in Overdrive. So yeah, so it was almost 200 episodes, and then
that's a lot.
the two films that we did.
Yeah, that's a lot of episodes. When you got the part, you had talked about that when you were in school, studying Kung Fu, they told you, hey, Power Rangers was looking for people, and they told you to go down and audition. What was that audition like? I mean, what's the whole process like of becoming a Power Ranger?
Well, let's see. It was a big cattle call, so it was like a nationwide search. So they had the one in Dallas, and I went to that one. There was, I don't know, a few thousand people. I don't know the exact number, but there's just thousands of people in line, and they brought you in one at a time, or not one at a time. Sorry, they brought us in like 20 at a time. Then they chose specific, like they're like, okay, you can stay, the rest of you go. So I think it was like first they just did looks,
right,
and then you had to show off whatever. At least at that time, you had to show off some kind of ability, gymnastics, martial arts, or dance.
Right.
And so you had to perform for them, and then they gave us or at least I did. I don't know if the other guys did, because I mentioned this before, and they said they didn't have to. But I had a monologue that I had to read.
Oh, okay.
So left, came back, and did the monologue, and then eventually got a call back in California, and where we went through the similar process of just auditioning, and then they mixed us up with other actors, and then changed us around from Black Ranger to Red Ranger, and then settled on the three of us from Texas.
Oh, all three of you came from Texas. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, all three of us ended up came from Texas, yeah.
That's cool. So they didn't know exactly which one they were casting you for in the beginning. They just, hey, group these people up, and then we'll run through the process. If they look all right, okay, the next part, what skills do they have? And then they had you do the monologue, and then take you guys out to California, run you through it again, and just keep knocking the numbers down.
Right, yeah. Well, I think they weren't sure if they weren't like, this guy's going to be the Black Ranger, but
right.
It was like black or red,
Okay, right,
so
just one of the males.
Tested as, exactly, yeah.
Okay. And the show, you were in 200 episodes. That's a lot in 3.5 years. So that's got to be a crazy process. What is it like to actually make the show?
It was nuts, I mean, the week was a full day, 14, 16-hour day, and you would we'd shoot for the week, I think 3-4 episodes, really fast, and then on the weekends we would do ADR stuff.
Okay, go and do the voice work for all the stuff, wearing the helmets and the action scenes.
Yeah, it was a very fast process, and then a lot of times second unit was shooting a lot of action stuff while we were shooting, like we're in the school or whatever.
Yeah,
and then flip flop. Then we'd go to second unit, do some fight scenes, and they'd be shooting something else. But they had a lot of, obviously, help with it being, originally in Japanese.
Yeah,
especially earlier on, they would just use
pulling the scenes from the original shows.
Exactly. Yeah.
So wearing your helmets and doing the ADR, outside of that, when you guys you do a lot of choreography and all the stunts and the action for the show, how hard is it to see in those things?
Those things fog up so fast, and we didn't wear them a whole lot,
Right.
But so yeah, some of the stunt guys had to wear those later on in the later series or whatever. They were wearing that constantly. I never did. I mean, I wore it, but anytime I really wore the helmet was when I was taking it off.
Oh, okay.
Stunt guys were doing it, or it was stock.
Okay.
Right,
the original footage plus what they were shooting out there, and so a lot of what you guys was the acting part of it for the most part.
Right, and our civilian fights. But then we did do, like in Australia, they had us wearing the helmets quite a bit.
Right.
But and I have the helmets as well at home, and I wore them. Actually, I wore it today. I was playing with my kid, and awesome. But they fog up, man, and you can't stay in those things for too long.
Right, it's gonna get hot in there.
Oh man, made it weird. All right, okay.
So the helmet, you have your helmet. Is that your original helmet?
No, they're mock-ups.
Do you have anything that you kept from the show, or can you even talk about that?
I have a couple things from the show.
Not to be mentioned, just a couple things. Was there any major stunts or dangerous stunts that you can remember that you're just like, hey, this is probably not going to end well?
From me doing it?
Right.
No, I mean, that was what I looked forward to. Yeah, so no, there was nothing that I wasn't, willing to do. And I was, I was young, I was kind of stupid. I was up for anything. They could have thrown me off of a cliff, and I would have been like, sure,
let's do it. Looking back now, if you could choose a specific animal or dino for your Zord, what would you choose?
Well, let's see. I would probably I accept the frog now. It's fine.
it's part of you.
Yeah, it's part of me. Yeah, Mastodon's all right. I would probably prefer like something like a T-Rex.
Right.
or maybe a raptor would be cool.
Oh yeah, they never had a raptor on the show, did they?
No, not that I know of. Yeah,
that would actually be a good one. Raptors are fast; they're dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
And the frog's classic.
Exactly.
What were your thoughts on the reboot?
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Anything you would think maybe changing since growing with the show for so long, and what you guys did to see how they did the movie, which was.
I thought they did a great job with it, but I would have liked to see. I was hoping for more action, martial arts action.
Yeah.
The only thing where I was like, meh, it's all right. I didn't like Goldar that much.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of the suits because I couldn't tell them apart really, other than the color. And the Zords also were kind of.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of saw that too, and there was a lot of issues when they first introduced the suits, and people were saying, "Well, it looks like Iron Man or something like that."
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I didn't like the lips for some reason. Like the lips just kind of bothered me, and Goldar. Oh man, coming from the Goldar from the show to see him in the movie, I'm like, this is not good. Hopefully, they do something about that in the future.
I know. It just wasn't. I mean, because I was so used to the series, and I'm so used to our costumes. I was like, "Ooh, what's it going to look like?" But I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of it. They did. Yeah. It's fine, but it was it's a different movie.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different take on it. It's a reboot. I like your costumes from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. They were almost armor, but they kept the original look. So I really liked the way those came out. So maybe they'll hopefully build to something down the road and make some changes. But other than that, it was a good movie. So when you left Power Rangers, you talked about being basically in a bad part of your life because you had the reputation of what the Power Rangers brings, and then being half Asian, half Caucasian, parts weren't just lining up for you. So you started your band. Well, you started learning, not the band yet, but you started learning the guitar and writing music and stuff to fill the time and release some of those emotions. How did the band actually start?
Well, it was because I went through kind of a depression at that time, and learning the guitar and singing, that kind of brought me out of that.
Right.
Sort of in a way. And then I just, there were other people that I knew that played other instruments, drums and bass and things like that. And I was like, hey, maybe we should start a band and, I don't know, make music that maybe makes people feel better, and so I was like, we'll try it, it wasn't like, this is what we're doing. It was like, let's just see what happens,
Right.
And, it became a thing for a while.
And you guys started iShine, which is a cool story of how you came up with that. Watching Steve Irwin, Crocodile Hunter, and about the reflection off the eyes at night. That never even occurred to me. That's a really cool concept. Yeah,
we had I think we called ourselves. Well, we were calling ourselves Partly Cloudy, and we're like, maybe that's what we're going to call ourselves. It's kind of cool. The news would always talk about us, but then and then I was like, it's not that good. And then I was watching Crocodile Hunter, and he kept saying, "You gotta look for the iShine." And I was like, that's kind of cool. I was like, hey, that could be the band name.
Yeah, it was a cool name. I liked it. And it's catchy.
Yeah.
So you play guitar, you do vocals. Do you sing not so much sing, but play any other instruments besides the guitar?
I tinker with other things, but really the guitar is my main thing. Like I tinker with keys but I'm not really, I wouldn't call myself a piano player or a keyboardist or anything.
You guys were together for a long time. What year did the band start? Was it 2003?
4. Well, yeah, it was 3, but we started calling ourselves iShine in 2004.
And you guys did a lot of shows, a lot of tours. Was there any major tours or shows that you played that stick out?
Japan. When we went to Japan, that was awesome. New Zealand was pretty cool. We did a Texas tour, which was amazing for us. So yeah, there's a few. Japan was one that still just definitely stands out as one of my favorites.
Yeah, that's awesome. Going out and playing Japan, I'm just gotta wonder what the audience is like for that, and how far was that into being the band when you guys actually went out there to play in Japan?
We just went there as the band.
Oh, just it wasn't anything else. Just going straight out as the band.
It's just like, hey, let's go play in Japan, and we went, and they were awesome. They didn't understand what we were maybe singing about, but they were into it, so it was awesome. Man.
Yeah, that is awesome. All this traveling you were doing, playing the different gigs, going different countries, and then having your acting career with doing your voiceover work and the movies you've done. How does that work? I mean, how did you manage all that?
You just make time for the things you enjoy.
Yeah.
You just make it work. I don't know. I get asked that all the time, and I'm like, I don't know. It just falls into place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen you guys, when you do a lot of your conventions, you got iShine would play at a lot of these conventions you went to as well. So I guess that's one crossover there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Have they crossed anything else? Have you ever maybe thought about doing a song for one of the shows you've been on, or as a side project or something?
Yeah. Well, we did. We recorded a track for Silent Hill.
Really?
Yeah. What was it? It was one of the games that they came out with. We recorded one of the songs, and then there was a few times when we had recorded some stuff for, but then it would fall through or fell through. But it's not like and there, of course we would accept anything if somebody's like, hey, will you do a song for our show?
Yeah.
Like, sure. But there was never really anyone interested. Yeah. So.
Since I started putting my research and everything, and once we lined this up, that's when I came across iShine. I've been looking into everything, and it's pretty much all I've been listening to for the last few weeks here. So yeah, it's really great message behind all the music, and it takes me back to a younger part of my life when that style, which I'm not sure what you would style it as, but was something more that I was listening to. So
yeah, right, yeah. It's I don't know what it would. We called it edge rock because we couldn't really pinpoint exactly.
Right.
It was rock, but modern rock, I'm not really sure. But yeah, it's just something we enjoyed to play.
The lyrics were great. A lot of your songs have a lot of great messages behind it, or you can feel what you were going through when you were writing it.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Yeah,
that was the whole purpose behind it. But
right.
Yeah.
So with iShine wrapping up last year. And you put out your not last year, but your last album came out last April. And then you guys finished your, was it January? I think you had your last show, right?
December.
Okay. What's next for you?
I've started a new project called Where Giants Fall.
Oh, okay.
And, and so that's actually right now we're trying to record some vocals for someone who came in town for the project. So.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Who carried over from iShine with you?
Polo, my
okay.
lead guitarist. Yeah, he came over with me.
Okay, cool.
And Riley was playing drums with us towards the end there, the last few years, or last year, I guess. And then so he's kind of going to be going around with us for a little bit too. I'm not sure how much he's going to be involved if he can, but
right.
That's the hardest thing is to keep him members. So the whole concept of a band is a little weird, So. I'm trying to not make it that, but it is that. But the thing is that the members might be changing constantly.
Yeah, definitely. Well, did you guys pretty much stay iShine as the main group the whole time, or did you guys have any mix-ups in the grouping of the band as it went on?
Oh, it changed constantly. Over the 13 years that we played or whatever.
Right.
It changed. Quite a bit. Few different drummers, few different bassists, a couple different guitarists. Polo's been with me the longest.
Okay.
But yeah.
Was there a particular memory with the band that will stick with you forever from iShine?
It's probably meeting some of the fans and hearing the songs that really moved them or helped them. There's been a lot of people that have, I guess they were going through something,
right,
death in the family or something at the hospital or whatever. And, a certain song kind of, well, they say it helped them through it, and that's just, it's just the coolest part about it, And
having that connection with everybody.
And then when you're up there and you're singing songs and people are singing those songs that you wrote, it's it's pretty special.
Is there a song from iShine that you think might have been one of the ones that stands out to you?
I think Alone. It's probably one of our simplest songs, but it resonated with most of the fans.
Yeah, I've been playing that one a lot. I noticed that. So moving from the band to anime, huge anime career. I mean, you're pretty much in everything. If you're not a lead character, you're one of the main characters, or you have a significant character. And I think everybody can pretty much knows a good chunk of your work. So I want to get more into the process of actually the work part of it and what you do. When you go into a studio, you can't just walk in, with your voice and start. Well, you probably can, but there's got to be some kind of warm up you do to get in the process of recording.
Most times I don't. Most times I just go in and just do it. The only time I would do any kind of warm up is maybe if I have to do a really high pitched voice, a young voice. So, gotta clear myself out and make sure that it's going to come out clean when I'm there. Or if I'm playing a voice that has to be super raspy and sound like, war torn or something like that, I'll scream out the street signs as I'm driving to the studio. So I'm a little burnt out by the time I get there. So there's things like that, but that something like that is really stupid, but that's just kind of, that's kind of how I just do it.
Right. Is there a different way of controlling your mouth or your movement or anything, the way you talk in order to get to those different voices? Like playing a kid's voice, I can imagine it's not easy.
Right. Well, the placement of the voice, where if it's in front of your face or in the middle of your tongue or the back of your throat or in your chest, you just kind of find the placement of where that voice is in your head. And then that kind of, if it is it more nasally, you just find the placement of that voice. You work with your director or producer, whoever is like, all right, let's see what you think. And then you give them a couple ideas and then they go, all right, let's go with this and maybe a little bit of that. And then you just kind of find the right voice. You just kind of, for me, I mentally place the voice at a certain place.
Okay. What about while you're in the studio? If you're in there for hours, I'm assuming recording, how do you keep your voice fresh and not from, taking a lot of damage?
Water, constantly. Drinking lots of water or tea or something like that, yeah.
Okay, so staying hydrated, mainly water, teas.
Yeah.
There was a video you had done about in the studio, and at one point you raised up a pickle. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah, it was just a silly joke.
You know how many people are out there probably taking a pickle in the studio with them now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So being one of the biggest names in the industry, do you get auditions sent to you or requests for you to come on a show, or do you just constantly audition for stuff on your own or whatever the agent gives you?
Yeah, all of that, really, my agent sends me a lot of stuff. Sometimes some of the studios send me stuff. Sometimes directors I've worked with send me stuff. And sometimes I just get requests.
Okay.
For that sort of thing.
And from Trigun to now, what's the most important thing you've learned for voice acting?
That's a good question. I don't know. There's probably a few things, but working the mic, as a voice actor, knowing how to work the mic is very important. I think, something maybe later for me in the last few years is more of if you can find out anything about your project, before committing to it, if you can, it's kind of a good thing, because then sometimes you get into something and then you're like, I don't know if I like what this character, what this show stands for, or something like that.
Yeah, and then at that point you're already tied into it.
Exactly, So, I mean, that hasn't happened a whole lot. There's been a couple times where I'm like, oof, I wish I knew what this was, or like I do a favor for a friend and I'm like, oh, wow, okay, this is probably not what I wanted it to be. Right.
It's not something I'm attached to.
All right, yeah.
Were there any characters you've done that were tough for you to do, that were just hard for you to play or voice or take on?
Besides Goblin number 13?
Yeah, besides Goblin 13.
Nero and Devil May Cry 4 was pretty tough at first because I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I was confused. And when I talked to my director, he was like, "You are Nero," and so I was like, I guess I'm just going to make the choices and just do it as I would,
Right.
So that would be one that was a little struggle in the beginning. Lelouch in Code Geass was a little bit of a struggle for me in the beginning to wrap my head around certain things.
Right.
And Renton was another one that was a bit of a struggle for me in the beginning.
So do you have your own home studio?
I do, yeah.
And something, I'm guessing you built up, is it like an expensive set or is it something moderate? With being that this is, this is your life, so I'm assuming you put some money into it.
It's pretty expensive, yeah. And it's not just because of the voiceover. I mean, it's definitely expensive because of the mics and preamps and stuff I have, but I also got a ton of stuff that's music related,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, that you combine the two so you can use the studio for multi-purpose.
Exactly, yeah. So it's fairly expensive.
And do you watch your shows?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Which ones have you...
Well, that's where it comes down to, do I have time?
That's true, yeah.
I've experienced the show. It's only when I'm like, man, this is a really cool series. Then I'll go out of my way to try to check it out, or if it's on Netflix, I might, check it out because it's easier for me to do it that way.
Yeah, I was watching Ajin last week and really did the show.
I like it. I like that show.
Yeah, it's good. It's an interesting series. Something different in a way.
And Knights of Sidonia is kind of cool too.
Yeah, that's on my list.
Yeah.
Mostly because
Yeah,
I love the name.
Ajin, it's interesting because I remember playing the character of Kay in Ajin, and I was like, man, is he supposed to be this way? And I'm like, yeah, he's just emotionless. He doesn't care, you know. And then I'm like, yeah, okay. But then you know, things start changing eventually, you know. But,
right, he grows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Knights of Sidonia is one of my favorite songs from Muse. When I saw that, I was like, I gotta watch that too.
Right. Yeah.
Well, let's jump into Nero, since we talked about that in Devil May Cry.
Okay.
So how did you wind up with the part for Nero?
Well, let's see. I actually auditioned for Dante.
Okay.
For the third game to do the mocap for him, and at Ruben's studio actually.
Yeah.
And then later, you know, I found out Ruben got the part. I was like, wait a sec.
Wait a minute.
And then later, you know, it was through Ruben actually. Ruben called me up and said, hey, we're doing you know, Devil May Cry 4, and I want to have you come in and audition for one of the characters. And he had me audition for Nero, and you know, ended up getting the part for that.
Yeah, definitely. Did you know Ruben and Dan before that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole Power Rangers family there.
It totally, yeah. And those guys, and I was close with the stunt guys, and those guys were really close with the stunt guys.
Right.
So yeah, I definitely have known them for a long time.
And after the success of Devil May Cry 4, were you surprised that Capcom decided to reboot the series?
A little, yeah. I was a little surprised and a little bummed because then I was like, oh well, there it goes.
What happens to Nero?
Yeah, exactly. So.
Which it looks like it didn't really turn out that well. I haven't actually played that full game. I played part of it, but I couldn't get into it because it just wasn't my Devil May Cry.
I think that was the problem, and that's why they released that special edition. You know,
right.
They're like, "Are you guys like this version though?" You know?
Yeah. What if we throw this hair on them?
Yeah.
So with that, you know, not doing so well, there's been a lot of talk of Devil May Cry 5 coming out, and maybe, I don't know, who knows what's going on with it. There's no confirmation. Ruben said he's got nothing to say about it. I haven't talked to Dan. Being that you're the other, you know, big member of it right now, do you have any thoughts about the rumors?
I've got nothing to add, really.
Okay.
I mean, I will say that there were pictures of me and Ruben in mocap suits, and everyone assumed it was DMC5, but it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing. I think that's what kind of kicked off the flame there for Devil May Cry 5. Not the fact that everybody just wants it, but seeing you guys back together, it's like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, like we actually, after that, we were working on something else for like a pachinko thing or something.
Okay.
And so, you know, because we've both done, you know, mocap, you know, and so we just happened to be in the same thing. And I thought, there's no problem. We can take pictures. It's not, you know, but then everyone assumed it was that.
Not with the internet.
And then they were like, you guys can't be together and not be doing DMC5.
It's just not possible. Yeah. Well, we hope so. We hope that we get something soon from it, and we hope to get you back as Nero and continue on that storyline that they started. So it'd be really good to see that. Well, I guess get into the closing questions here. Do your kids watch your work?
They watch some of it. Yeah, some of the like Doraemon or Yokai watch.
Right,
some of the stuff, you know, they can watch. They've seen some Power Rangers, but that show's kind of hard for me to watch, you know.
Yeah, and it's kind of dated now.
Yeah, it's definitely dated, but, you know.
But it was relatable back then. So, and my son who watches it now, he watches Yokai and he watches the original Power Rangers. So,
yeah, I mean, well, our series did have something different. It's like it's easy to watch. It's easy to kind of have there. Yeah. I mean, some people can be totally annoyed by the cheesiness factor, but you know, it's not hard to watch. But for me, it's hard to watch because of me. Like it's hard to watch me
judging yourself the whole time.
Totally, yeah.
Some great episodes, though. I mean, bringing you guys in and everything was an interesting shift in the team, the family behind Power Rangers, and then continuation to the movies and everything. I grew up in that, so I still look back on it fondly.
That's cool, man.
Do you have any social media plugs? Any where can people follow you at?
Yeah, well, it would be my name, Johnny Yong Bosch, and that's Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Instagram is the one where I'm most active. Okay. But I am on Twitter a bit. Facebook gets neglected a little bit because, you know, they kind of withhold how many people can actually see your post or whatever. Right. Make
you pay for extra.
Exactly. So I do go on there, but not nearly as much as I'm on Instagram or Twitter.
Okay.
And then my new music project is Where Giants Fall. And on some of the other ones, it's Where Giants Fall Band.
Okay.
And we've posted a couple of things there, some pictures and some snippets of the new songs that are coming.
Excellent. I got to go take a look for it.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Johnny again for coming on the show and being such an awesome guest. I had a great time talking with him, and I hope all of you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. Also, in the comments section, tell me, what fandoms do you love, and who would you like to see as a future guest on an episode of Beyond the Fandom? Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.